Welcome back to Update on Pelos. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates on this cool horse as Citro gets him ready for the Kentucky Virtual Extreme Mustang Makeover. And he is, in this video, he's about week 4, one of the sessions Citro recorded. He's only had a couple rides, and so he's just kind of going through his routine of getting him to kind of bend. He'll get up and down him a bunch of times. And Pelos is still pretty wiggly when he gets up and down. Like he wants to move a lot. So Citro's having to work a lot on that. Biggest thing with that is when you get on, you want to make sure you don't tell him to walk off right away. You just kind of sit there for a while. And that's a great way to prep and train your horse to always stand still when you get on, and just wait for your direction afterward. As long as you make sure that you're very conscious that you do not just go and ask him to walk off every time as soon as you get on. So he's just kind of going through his little checklist here of what he wants the horse to do before he gets on. He had already done some groundwork and some round penning with him up until this point. But you can see how Pelos is just still real kind of squirmy when he gets on. He's not quite sure how to handle that weight on the side of him. And I love how Citro just doesn't push it, and he'll do this a few times to work on it to get him better and better at it. And super smart on a young horse. Really good to get on and off them with their head turned a little bit if they're a little squirrely like this. There's, no wrong or right way here. This is how Citro does it. I do it a little bit differently. I do a lot of getting on and off from a mounting block with the horse's head straight, letting them allow me to get on and off quite a bit before I ever get to this point. And that's totally fine too. Citro does it this way. And we went on that. I don't know if you watched our endurance ride video that I posted a couple days ago. Great video if you're interested in endurance riding. But at that ride, there was a lot of gates, so riders had to get off and open gates. A lot of the riders had not taught their horse how to open gates from the saddle, which is kind of important, I think. But one of the riders, her horse had, she just kind of took it for granted that he was going to be fine when she got back on after opening the gate, and she didn't really have a hold of her rein, and her horse spooked and took off. So really, really important to just be aware. And and she ended up getting hurt a little bit, not horrible, but I'm not sure if she couldn't finish the ride. But yeah, it's really important that your horse learns to stand still and wait for you. And she made the mistake of, you're on a trail ride, or like this is endurance ride, a lot of people on that ride, that if you're going to get on your horse, turn them away from the direction. Like her horse was pointed toward where all the other horses were, and in front of him. And so he kind of took off that way, and she didn't have the rein to kind of pull his head around. And so face your horse the opposite direction of the horses are going, and they're more likely to not take off on you. Just little safety precautions like that. It's really smart. And then also being able to have that rein short like that. I've seen some people too, they'll turn their horse's head away from them when they get on, so the horse does move, the horse moves into you, and it's a lot easier to swing your leg over. These are just of course you want to do prep work and stuff before that, so that you don't have to worry about your horse taking off when you get on. But sometimes you don't have the most controlled environment, and so you got to take these safety measures. So that was really nice. He just walks right off. I just love how he just carries his head level. He wants to carry it low naturally. He's just kind of a chill dude. The hardest part probably with this horse is going to be getting him to move forward, because he just kind of wants to chill. You can see this little slow walk. He's starting to learn to follow that rein a little bit. Still real mouthy. He's got that bridle on that's a combination bit and noseband. So that almost like a bit side pull combo is a great transition from the halter to, or if you're using a side pull, to a bit, so that kind of just makes it a little bit smoother, so they don't have to just learn the bit right away by itself. You can kind of reinforce it with that nose pressure. Of course, these sessions are pretty long, so I did a lot of editing and cut them, and cut out sections that it's just repetitive stuff. That's what horse training is. It should be boring. It should be just simple and boring. And that's how we like it. So he's trying to get him to move forward here, and he wants to be kind of wiggly and move off the fence. And so Sitter's just kind of working on getting him to move straight, and not be so back and forth and on and off the fence. And it looks like he's got a really smooth gait. I haven't asked the sitter if he's smooth, but he looks pretty darn smooth to me. I mean, his conformation would make him, make me think that he's smooth. You can see it's when he goes to turn him into a bit of a smaller circle, that he wants to slow down and kind of fall out of that. So keeping his impulsion and his forward and some energy in order to get some good movements in is going to probably be the hardest thing with this horse, because he's overall just really easy, super easy temperament, not flinchy in his body at all. You can see he's happy to slow down. So Sitter's goal here is just to get him to go forward and just start to follow that rein around. And I like this too. He's kind of starting to just slowly incorporate movement in the saddles. He's moving his arm so you can see him out of that eye and not be scared. Instead of just jumping on and, swinging things around him right away, we'll just kind of introduce it little by little like this, and get him some confidence. I like how he naturally kind of wants to bring his head down and round his back. Just got to keep that hind end tracking up, because he's built a little downhill. Part of that is probably because he's not done growing. And I mean, it's like you could see the promise of a really pleasant trail horse, just riding horse. He's like on the buckle, so to speak, there. And here he's just introducing him to a backup. Instead of pulling just straight back with both reins, which kind of makes him want to pop up, he'll flex him to one side, since the horse already knows how to flex to one side. And that keeps him thinking soft and down, and not getting bracy and putting the head up. So it's a good technique to get him to kind of back up, and see, backs up right there, release. And so he'll pick up both reins, but more one rein than the other when he asks him to back up. So that way he's not bracing on both reins and putting his head up, since he already knows how to kind of flex side to side a little bit. And so he just kind of hold it until he finds the release. Right there, release. Perfect. And here he's starting to incorporate the word whoa under saddle. He's used it on the ground, but that's getting him to learn the word whoa under saddle. So the idea is you say whoa. They don't know, because they don't know what the word is yet under saddle. And so sometimes they'll slow down a little bit because they're not quite sure what to do. And then you just turn them into the fence and go the other direction. And then they just start learning the word whoa. Oh, I'm going to need to sit back on my haunch and turn. So they start to slow down and sit on their haunch a little bit. And here's another day. In the next weeks, this is week 5, and you can still see he's super wiggly, so there'll be a lot of work that'll go into getting him to really just kind of stand there and brace a little bit when the rider gets on, so that they're not falling out of balance. He doesn't really care that a sitter is up there. He just doesn't seem to like the whole process of getting on. And that's okay. Every horse has their little issue that we got to work through. You can see he walks off, like literally walks off on a loose rein. He just looks like he's an old broke cow horse right here. So seriously, anybody who's wanting just a nice quiet family horse, horse you do a lot. He's built to be able to do a lot. Just try a little bit of everything, but have a nice mind. And he's pretty with all that hair, all that thick hair. It's a really thick, by the way. Um, this will be the horse for you. He's a cool dude. I know he's trying to work on getting that, more forward trot. And Pelos, he just wants to kind of, lose his impulsion and his forward and die a little bit. He'd rather stand there or walk on a barely walk than move forward. So as soon as he goes and does that circle, you can see he just kind of dies. So pushing him through in a circle to get the inside hind leg to kind of step up and forward, and that shoulder to pick up and keep that forward going on a smaller circle is definitely something that needs a lot of work. He's smart though. I mean, he's really willing. That was a lot better. Kept us forward going through that circle a little bit. Little baby steps. Citro's funny. He's like, I'm just going to ride with one hand like he's an old broke horse. And then here, I think this is maybe his second lope under saddle. Maybe the day before he loped him for the first time. And you can see a Citro takes it real slow. There's some trainers that walk trot lope under saddle right away. And Citro, he really takes his time. He'll spend his time walking and then trotting and then loping. It seems to work well for him. And that was nice. You see, he was like doing a lot of kissing and stuff, trying to get him to go forward. And he kind of dies, can't make a full circle there. So you just build on that. You don't make a big deal out of it. You just build on it. I just love this little jog. It looks like you can just sit that sucker all day. This is just a great example of just, building on it and not making a big deal. Like he picked up the wrong lead, just kind of bring him back and then get him back into a lope. There you go. And you can see that this is a great example of, okay, you just start building on it, right? He brought him back down to a trot, got his forward back a little bit, and then now look, he's able to lope an entire circle. Just brought him back, got him a little bit straighter, some better balance, and then pushed him into that. And he's going to reward him by bringing him back down here. So just little bits like that. I love how Citro, he just doesn't make a big deal out of anything. We're just building on it. And so this is the end of that session. He got off and Pelos kind of moved around a little bit. So what he's doing now is he's just going to go ahead and practice getting up and down on both sides at the end of the session as well. Because, these energy conserver horses, what I call them, these energy conserver type horses, they would rather not work. So getting them motivated to work for you can be a trial. So if you can avoid him getting on him, he'll do that, right? So he's going to get on and off him a bunch at the end of the session. So it kind of, messes with his head a little. He's just like, oh, that's not actually going to get me out of work if you're not, can't get on me. And eventually he won't be so, he'll be okay with the work as he gets better in shape.